Times podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Nelson Puentes, the owner and founder of Inverted Gear and also the head instructor and owner of Bamboo Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Abington, Pennsylvania. First, before we get started with our interview with Nelson, we just have to give a shout out to our two sponsors, Train, Dominate, and Rise. Even if you suck at jiu-jitsu, you can look great on the mats with Rain kimonos, rash guards, and lifestyle apparel. Rain, REIGN Unlimited, has affordable, comfortable, and sleek jiu-jitsu apparel for everybody. Order your kimonos, rash guards, and BJJ lifestyle apparel today at rainunlimited.com. Details Clothing. Just to give you a little bit of background, Details is owned by my friend and training partner, Kristen Hassan. She was a high-rolling ad exec in New York City, living the high life in Manhattan, but then she discovered jiu-jitsu. And then from there, she realized that, wait, nobody designed rash guards and spats for women, even though they are claimed to be women's. And what she did was she decided to start her own line of jiu-jitsu gear for women by women. She went out, she learned all about textiles, materials, how women's curves work, and discovered what she feels is the perfect rash guard for women, designed by a woman who competes and finished second at Mundials. Definitely check them out. There's a lot of great sales going on their site and great products at www.detailsclothing.com. Details is spelled Detales. Definitely check them out. Again, great apparel by a woman who competes and trains for women who compete and train. And now on to our guest, very inspiring guest. He had a great blog post the other day that caught my attention. I felt like I really wanted to speak with him. His name is Nelson Puentes. He's the founder and owner of Inverted Gear, BJJ Kimonos and Apparel, as well as a Jiu-Jitsu black belt and owner of Bamboo Jiu-Jitsu Academy in Abington, Pennsylvania.
Actually, quick correction. I don't own the academy anymore. I closed it. It was too much between like the business and I'm getting feedback now. I wasn't before.
Okay. Is it just lagging or?
No, like whenever I say something, like 5 seconds later, I hear myself. Oh, that's good now.
All right. Do you mind if we start over again?
Sure, but like we're good now.
All right.
Well, up to you.
You know what? Let's just go run with it.
All right. Do it live. Do it live.
My apologies, because I saw your site for Bamboo Academy, but
it's fine. No, yeah, no problem. Like it got to the point where we really wanted to travel, and like the gear business was doing well. Like Inverted Gear was doing really well, and we have a fulfillment company now. Like back in the day, I was shipping everything out of my parents' basement, but now we have a fulfillment company. Mm-hmm. So it is like I got married. It's gonna be 3 years next year. 2 years. I met my wife 3 years ago. 2 years next year, and like we're both young, and like we don't have kids yet, so we kind of like travel now or never. So we decided to close the academy December last year. We train full time at BJJ United right now, which is down the street from us. It's like 15-20 minute ride, and Jared Wine is an awesome instructor, and it's like a great group of guys over there. So it was definitely the right move. Like my jiu-jitsu's gotten a lot better now. Like I'm training under someone instead of like teaching all the time. So I've improved a lot thanks to Jared and his crew.
All right. No, my apologies for because I did see the website up, and I was going to ask you, how did you balance running a growing company and Jiu-Jitsu Academy, both two startups at the same time?
Yeah, man, it was tough. So we had it going for about 6 months. Like it was like starting to like pick up, and then like made the decision that like it's not what I wanted. I always thought I wanted to run run my own academy. Maybe I will down the road again, but at this point of my life, it's not there. I started teaching jiu-jitsu when I was a purple belt.
Mm-hmm.
I was teaching from at my instructor school, and then I started teaching at another school, and I was teaching every night since I was a purple belt until I was a black belt. And then I moved here, and then I was teaching a few nights a week at my small school, and then I was spending time at Jared's school, the nights I was not teaching. And Jared opened the door for me, invited me and my wife to come train, and I get along really well with everyone there, and it's just a great atmosphere, and it's a great group of guys. And so like I started feeling guilty. I was like not competing because I was like much smaller and I was like far away down the road. That like it wasn't direct competition with Jared, but like it didn't feel right. So and also like really wanted to travel and like if the school grew anymore, it was gonna get to the point where like I can't travel. I have to like worry about covering classes, any issues with the school or like the building. So we closed it up, sold my mats, and just been traveling all over the place this year. So it's been awesome.
So how many hours a day do you spend working? How much of your time is training and traveling? How do you find that balance between everything? Is your business at this
It,
point
yeah,
running? Or,
it's tricky because it's not the same every day.
Mhm.
A lot of times it depends how close is the shipment. Like when that shipment's coming in, like there's a lot of more work we gotta do. Make sure like we're contacting the factory and the warehouse, that the warehouse is ready. Dealing with customs and stuff. A typical day looks something like that. We roll out of bed 8 a.m. in the morning, have some coffee, sit down in the office. We'll do email, and my wife will do some design work. I'll do email, contact the factory, make sure everything's on schedule. Contact the warehouse if we have any issues. Make sure like the inventory is up to date. Look at the social media, see what like what we're gonna post. We've been working a lot more in the social media aspect lately,
Mhm.
like the blog post you saw. We've been filming some more video. We have some really cool stuff coming up. Actually, hire the guys at Artichoke Media, help me out a little bit. So they're like uh, communicating with a lot of the sponsor athletes we have. We have about 20 guys on the team, and they're gonna start like releasing more videos of them, like so competition video, technique videos, them training, pictures. If you guys follow us like on Instagram or Facebook, you've seen some of that. We have a lot more coming. And so 8 till about 11, we're in the office. Whatever we gotta do, like social media, customer service, whatever emails we get over the night. And then 11:30, around 11 we stop. 11:30 we go train BJJ United. So 11:30 to 12:30 we train. Come back. Usually we do like grocery shopping after we train. There's like a Whole Foods on the way back home. Cook something, eat, sit on the computer for another hour or two, depending what we gotta do that day. And then whatever we need to do, like if we're competing, if either my wife or me have a tournament or a super fight or whatever coming up, we'll do a double session. So we train at the noon class and then the afternoon class at BJJ United. Um, Depending on the day, if we're not competing, we might go to the gym instead of training twice a day because like Jared runs some tough classes, so I can't do 2 a days like for weeks. I'll die. I
Mhm.
have some really tough training partners, so like I'm getting older. When I was like early 20s, I could train hard in the afternoon and then late at night, but now I can't do it anymore. So I only have so many training sessions I can do in a week now. I'm trying to take better care of myself. I've been dealing with some injuries lately. Um, and then we come back, eat dinner. That's it. So depending on the day, it might be something like 3 6 hours. And then like a lot of time it's kind of like I don't call it work because like I might be sitting on the couch and then I have an idea for a blog post, start writing down. Sometimes Hillary like doodles around with like gi designs or T-shirts or whatever stuff like that. But like it's a lot more relaxed now that we don't do the fulfillment. When we just started, a lot of the time was just like packing the geese up and taking them to the post office.
Mhm. It would have been a lot easier if you had stamps.com back then.
We had Indesia, which is
Uh-huh.
the same. It's like kind
Yeah.
of like Stamps.com uses like the Indesia API to work. So it's like same thing, but yeah, I mean it's just like you just getting the label, finding the right key, putting it in the bag, printing the packing slip, closing, putting the label on. That's the time consuming part. Like printing the label is not a big deal. And like we're like in the my parents' basement, also known as the old warehouse, which is like it was really tight. A lot of times, like especially when the geese just came in, like once everything's organized, is fine. But like the first day when like you need an A0 and it's like where's the box with the A0s? It's like 50 boxes, and like the geese boxes are heavy. They're like 50 pounds each box. There's like 10 geese in there. It's like 10 feet. There's somewhere between 10 and 14 geese, depending on the size. So some of those boxes up to like 60 pounds. So like just moving all these giant boxes in a confined space, trying to find the right size so we you can start shipping all of them. So it was definitely an adventure. It's definitely it was hard work. I'm glad we're past that, and I definitely enjoy I appreciate what I do now, and I appreciate my lifestyle now compared to how it was back then. But we had I'm glad I went through what I did to get here. But it's just different now, and a lot we I think we're past the tough part, so to speak.
So right now, it seems like you live a really ideal, balanced lifestyle. And I'm hearing some echo too.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. It's we try we try to balance make sure we get our training in. My wife's a black belt also. She won like a world championship of blue and purple, like gi and no gi. She's like super she accomplished a lot. She still likes to be competitive, so we definitely jiu-jitsu is important to both of us. Competition is important to both of us, so we like to stay sharp. So we can go even if we're really busy, we make sure we have time to get at least one training session a day, and we're both much happier that way. Even if we get cranky if we don't train.
And how many hours were you working during the startup phase versus now? It seems again you have balance, but how long were the days back in 2012 when you're working out of your parents' basement?
Man, 2012 was a crazy year, especially at the beginning. Like even before the geese were made, when I was like contacting factories and stuff, I would stay up all night because Pakistan is kind of like reverse.
Hmm.
So night here is like day over there. So I would stay up until midnight, and usually that's when the factories started getting back to me. So I would stay up until like 3, 4 a.m. so I could get like a few email exchanges with the factories.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, because I traveled to the Far East and I also lived in the New York, New Jersey area, it's around for Pakistan probably a 13-hour time difference between. So
Yeah.
right now, your time, you're at noon. It's probably around 12 to 2 a.m. right there,
Yeah.
right now. So and also in my past life, I used to have to deal with computer programmers in India. So I would be doing these weird, awkward teleconference calls at 9 p.m. at night, which was,
Yeah.
I think, their morning right when they got to the office. It was just a pretty chaotic lifestyle for me, at least during that
Yeah,
period.
I had a few late night Skype calls myself as the shipment got near, and you just awkward because I was a headphone and pajamas on, and then whoever was talking at the factory had a suit on.
And what was also crazy for me back then when I was doing that, being a project manager for a tech company, was that they the English accents in those parts of the world are very thick, and they would give this long explanation on why something wasn't working or why something was delayed in a very technical terms, and I couldn't understand what they were saying. So, and I'd be like, "Could you repeat that whole thing?" And they would get frustrated. Did you run into that issue too?
Not too
That
much. The
just
only guy I teleconference in has his accent is not too bad. He's the guy we work with, but a few of the factories is you whoever your contact person is, as might speak English, but he doesn't really speak English. So a lot of stuff gets misunderstood. Like I mentioned on the blog, like one factory you just fixed the panda for no reason. Had to right side up. They didn't get the whole inverted thing.
yeah, I remember you
Like
mentioned that.
yeah, all the logos say inverted gear, and there's like upside down panda. They're like, oh no, it's the first time they're doing this. They're like they messed this up, so they flipped it.
Yep, your panda should be on all fours. But yeah, it's part of the growing pains of starting a company, the learning experiences, and it seems like you've really mastered that curve a lot to a point where you and your wife are right now living that very balanced lifestyle. But going back to 2012, um, just you really were just teaching at that point. You dropped out of college. What did your parents say when you decided to drop out of college?
My mom hasn't gotten over it yet. She, she still brings it up from time to time, even though I have a successful company, I'm married, I'm doing okay. She still wants me to go back to school and get a degree for for whatever reason, like that's her dream. Have both her kids graduate. My sister is like a doctor of physical therapy,
Hmm.
so like we like we're pretty high achievers, I guess, like me and my sister, and like just they were. She always thought I was gonna go back and eventually graduate, so they gave me space, do the jujitsu thing, and I was working, so like it wasn't like I was hanging out at home doing nothing. I was working a part-time job, so what my schedule looked like while I was starting Verdi Gear was I would get up in the morning, I would go teach a 9 a.m. class. I would teach from like 9 a.m. to 10:30, go home, shower, drive to my part-time job. I would be at the part-time from like 11 until 5. Go home, grab my gi, go teach 6 p.m. beginners, teach 7 to 8:30 the advanced class, and then go home and work on inverted gear from like 9 until 3 a.m. or whatever. And, like that's like the first few months of the company. That's what it looked like.
Wow, that's a pretty hectic schedule back then.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy.
And it initially started because your students want a Nelson Puentes Jiu-Jitsu T-shirt. Were you
Yeah.
at your own school renting out space? Were
No,
teachers?
I was never renting out space. I lived in North Plainfield, and there was like this like lifting gym that closed down, and like the building was empty for like a year or two, and then like it was like on the main street of the town. I remember driving by all the time. You're like, oh man, this would be an awesome spot for a jiu-jitsu school. I was like, man, when I get my black belt, I'm gonna open my school here. It was like there was like nothing in the area at the time, and I like when I started, I had to like drive an hour towards Pennsylvania or an hour towards Newark to train. So there was like nothing in the area. And like that was like my dream. And then one day, like this like sign goes, I was like MMA school coming soon. I was like, oh, somebody stole my dream. Somebody scooped my spot. And the guy that opened the school, his name is Mike Gilliam. We're like great friends now. I still like I don't teach there anymore. I'm still in contact with him. He wanted to be affiliated with Alliance. My instructor like ran Alliance New Jersey at the time, so he came to the school asking Kevin, my instructor, hey, like I'm opening a school in North Plainfield. We want to have a jiu-jitsu program. Like, would you be interested in teaching there? And Kevin is like, oh, like he's a business owner. He runs Ruggers Painting, like a very big painting company in New Jersey.
Mhm.
And it's like I have my hands full. Like I barely make it into this place. Like much less can go teach somewhere else. But like talk to one of my students. Like Nelson is a purple belt. He can teach for you. He's like he's talked to him. I'm sure he'll be interested. So I met Mike, like we like talked a little bit. He offered me the job. I told him like what I told you, how like like teaching there was kind of my dream, and that's how it started. And like it was very popular at the beginning. When that school just opened in North Plainfield, it was called North Plainfield Fight Club. They changed the name to Max Athletics now. We moved around buildings a few times. They're in Dunedin now. My friend Dave runs the program. He's an awesome instructor. He's a brown belt. We started training at the same time, and that's how I started training. So I like I was just like an employee. I just got paid a salary. I didn't rent out space or anything.
Mhm. So
So
wasn't
it's doable because like I just had to show up, teach. That's
so
it.
wasn't Alliance affiliate you're teaching at, but yet the students were loyal to you and loved you that they wanted
Yeah,
your own shirt.
yeah. Like we wore alliance patches, but on top of that, like next to the alliance patch, they wanted something else.
Kind of like how there's a Cobrina logo, but
Yeah.
yet
Yes.
Alliance both.
Exactly.
And what made you decide to go with the panda logo initially? Was it because everybody loves pandas? Or?
Uh, mm, so that sweep when like you have close guard and the guy stands up and then like you wrap both of your legs around the legs and then you sit up. So you're
Yeah.
hugging the legs and with your legs and your arms and then like you take him over. So I taught a series from there like a sweep and a back take and we called it panda guard. Like I seen it called panda guard, koala guard. That's like another weird Portuguese name I forget. And I taught it and my students were like obsessed with it. And like I remember I was competing. I forget what it was. It might have been like that with Abbey Trials or something. A purple belt, and like they started screaming, like we got to that position, like I got close guard. The guy stood up, and like had his knees together, like trying to open my guard, and like my students are screaming like, "Oh, panda guard, panda guard, panda guard!" And, like I hit the sweep, and they went crazy, and like started calling me Big Panda.
And that's an ideal sweep, especially if you have a wrestling background. Is that
Dude, it's like super underutilized. Like it works, it's great. Like I still like it's not like my go-to or anything, but like if this situation is there, I go there all the time.
and you're from North Plainfield, that entire region of Union, Middlesex, Somerset County area in New Jersey, that's a big wrestling hotbed. And were a
Yes.
lot of your students, I think they liked it because it was pretty adaptable if you're a wrestler to use that type of guard work, type of sweep.
Yeah, I mean, like most of my students were not wrestlers. My friend, actually, my friend Dave, who I mentioned before, who runs a school now, like we wrestled in high school together, and like he's the one that got me into jujitsu because like we miss the mat, like we miss grappling. Or high school coach Jim Miller, it was like he had like this contagious love for the sport. The guy was like an encyclopedia about wrestling, and he's loved wrestling, and you could tell like the guy is like in his 40s, he's still teaching high school, coaching high school wrestling, and he just loves the sport. And like he kind of like gave us a little spark, and then like after we graduated, both Dave and I got like a few offers to wrestle in college.
Mm-hmm.
Or coach talked us out of it, and I'm glad he did. I don't think I would have enjoyed college wrestling. Is like it's such a commitment. It's like such a hard lifestyle, and I really miss grappling. And then like we run into Abu Dhabi highlights. Like 2007, Abu Dhabi was in New Jersey.
Yeah, Trenton.
And Trenton, yeah. So like randomly, like I forget what he was even doing on YouTube. Like Abu Dhabi matches showed up. I was like, what is this? I thought it was wrestling, so I started watching it, and then like so Marcelo, he's like arm dragging and like choking everybody unconscious. So that sparked their interest. Started talking about it, and like he got me into it.
And
But sorry, go ahead.
and you initially signed up for your first submission grappling tournament without any formal training, then decided to start training a month
Yeah.
out. Is that correct? Keep going.
Yeah, this is Dave's fault as well. My friend Dave, he calls me like we had that conversation like, oh, we should check that out, and like we looked at a few schools, but like nothing came of it. And then like a few weeks goes by, he calls me like on Friday at midnight. He was like working as a ballet at the time. We were in college. He's like, hey, he's like, somebody told me about this tournament in 4 weeks. We should do it. I was like, what tournament? What are you talking about? He's like, oh, that jiu-jitsu thing, that grappling thing. It's like, we should do it. I was like, okay. So then the next day, like, grapplesquads.com, we signed up. And then we started looking for a school to go train on Monday and figure out this whole jiu-jitsu thing.
How do you do at that tournament?
I took third, Dave took first.
And
We did
did you?
we did white belts. We did gi, we did white belt. We trained for a month. My friend Dave Ellis, Cranford Judo Club.
Did you get pretty? Did you get subbed out in that, or did you get put in any positions
Oh,
where
dude, I got
what's
like
going on here?
the most painful submission of all like I've experienced. The guy went for like a rear naked choke, but he was like on my jaw, and somehow like his forearm slipped into my mouth, so my lip was caught between his forearm and my teeth, and so I had like a giant bruise the next day, and the guy just like cranking on my jaw. So I was like, that's it. So I took their like I fought, that was like the semifinal, then I fought for their place. I think I won on points. I think I had like one submission that day, and I fell in love, man. Like just like this is a great feeling.
Not a bad start, considering bronze medal, and then where it's led you to being an entrepreneur, meeting your wife. And
Yeah, I mean, like I talk about this all the time. It's like like a lot of people say, oh, like jiu-jitsu changed my life, but if I didn't train, like I can't at this point, like 8 years down the road, I can't even imagine my life, what my life would be like if I didn't train. Like I have no idea what my profession would be. I have no idea what like if I'd be married or not because I would never met my wife. I'd probably be fat because I love eating way too much and jiu-jitsu is the only thing that keeps me in shape.
mhm. And- no, no, it really is awesome though that you're able to change your life and really get inspired through jujitsu in so many different ways. Back to the t-shirt though, you printed up your t-shirts and you said I've read in your blog that people were coming up to you at tournaments and events saying, "Hey, where
Yeah.
do you get that t-shirt at?"
Yeah, it's like, hey, it's like, are you Nelson? Because like my students would like point him out to me. Say, hey,
Yeah.
are you Nelson? He's like, yeah. He's like, can I buy one of your T-shirts? I was like, you sure? Like, it has my name on it. Like, it had like the inverted pen in the front, and then the back said Nelson Puentes Jiu-Jitsu. I think I might have. No, I don't think we have any left. But like, we had like I still had like a few floating around for like the first batch. We printed out like 50 at like a local print shop. But yeah, I mean, my wife had like when we met, like, it's been like almost a year since I started the company, and like she grabbed the last small of that original batch, and that's like she loves that thing. She still wears it.
How did it grow from a T-shirt that you made just for your students into your first idea to evolve it into kimonos and making a first run, making additional T-shirts?
Okay.
Did,
I was reading like a lot of business books at the time. You can actually see a few in the back. I
yeah.
still have them there, and like, I'm always reading, and like having my own business was always like a goal of mine. My dad has been an entrepreneur for a long time. Like, he had his own like little businesses back when we lived in Chile, and then like now he's a business owner in the United States now. Um, but so I always thought, like, like kind of following the model, like, being my own boss kind of thing. I always thought, like, my vision was like, jujitsu school. I had my jujitsu school, like, be my own boss, I set my own hours kind of thing. I read a bunch of business books, 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss.
Mhm.
I think that was a big inspiration, like, talking about like lifestyle design, like, being able to travel the world and all that stuff. And it's funny, like, looking back, like that's like, that really was a big, like, planted that little seed. It's like, wow, like maybe I can do this, like, So that's one, like, started like one of my students like, hey, like, how about you make geese with that panda logo? And so we started reaching out to factories, and the minimum order was like 100, and like, I had 25 students, so the numbers didn't add up. So I was like, hey, like, maybe, like, people really like the panda logo, maybe they'll like the panda logo and a gi, and I can sell geese. So decided to like ditch like, get rid of the Nelson Point Jiu Jitsu, like, make it into a brand, came up with an Inverted Gear name, came up with an Inverted Gear logo, and just designed the gi and started contacting factories and went from there.
Mhm. So you had 25 students. Did every student buy one of your gis
Yeah,
initially?
like that was a big help actually, because like, I didn't have that much money. I like, I was teaching, and I was working a part-time job, but like, I had been going to school, like, paying some of my school bills. Like, my parents were helping me out before, like, before I dropped out and like, took that break. Um, but like, money was tight, so a lot of like, like I told my students like, hey, like, this is what I'm doing. I'm doing like this panda logo. This is what the gi is gonna look like, and show them the sample I have from the factory. So about like 15, I would say like 15, 20 of them pre-order. And I told them, it's like, hey, like, like this is like the first order is gonna take like 3 months before it gets here. And all of them were cool with it, and like, supported me and helped me out, and like, ordered one. And like it's funny, because like, a lot of them still have that one, like, that one gi from the first batch.
So you pre-sold 25 gis, but that's still 75 gis to know to push out and sell.
Yeah.
And you're not. It's not gameness. It's not show your role at that point. How do you sell the other 75 gis?
Uh, just patience. It was like one a day, you know. We put up the invertedgears.com. One of my students helped me out with like the original web design. I paid him in geese and some cash because I was broke. And we put up like a Facebook page. Started like pushing the Facebook page a little bit. At the time, I remember like one of the big early pushes we had was Jason Scully, grapplesky.com. Jason had we had like an original giveaway for, I think, like one of our first T-shirts, like to get like, people to like the Facebook page. And like Jason like hit me up and said, hey, like, I saw you're doing this, blah blah blah. He's like, I'm gonna share your blog on my page. And like at the time he had like well, he still does. He's like, there's a pretty big Facebook page. So he shared the thing, and then like, we went from, I think, 50 to 400 fans in like a night. And then like little by little, like, it just stood out. Like, it was different than every, like, what most brands were doing at the time. And little by little, like, people started ordering these, and then like the pre-orders went out, and then like people started wearing them to their gyms. People liked it. I had a box before the big shipment came. I had a box shipped ahead of time, so a few of my friends could wear my worlds, and people could see my worlds. Like a few of them medal that year, like a purple belt and brown belt, and like Mike Kalimbas took some awesome pictures. I contacted Mike. I was like, hey Mike, we got introduced to a friend. I didn't have money to buy the pictures, so I sent a bunch of geese and some T-shirts to Mike, and we still work with him. He's awesome. He takes awesome pictures, and that started creating the brand. And I think one of the things that's like stuck the most with people, like struck a chord with people, was or about page on the Facebook on the invertedgear.com was talking why we started, and what a lot of companies were doing back then was pre-order and limited edition geese. So if you missed the window, you couldn't have it anymore. So we're like, okay, that's not what we're about. You'll have we'll release the geese, and then we sell out, we'll make more of the same geese, so everyone can have it. And it started talking about how we're not for tough guys. It's you should look at the logo. You can't be a tough guy wearing this upside down panda on your sleeve. And got all these emails like, oh my god, you guys get me, blah blah. It's I'm not a tough guy, and it works for people. People enjoy it. We get emails all the time. We had 5 people tattoo their panda on their arms or their legs. So we get a request. So a few people ask for permission first. So it's pretty funny.
That's very interesting because a lot of times it's a copycat industry where, oh wait, show-year-old did this, we need to do that. What gave you the courage to zig when everybody else was zagging, or the intuition to zig when everybody else was zagging with your marketing and business philosophies?
I it wasn't about I just thought the way the market was going, there was show your roll, and then they were control came around the same time, so I wasn't even aware of control when we came out. Control is another key brand. 93 brand was starting to Manto's always been doing awesome stuff for a long time, and then there were the Brazilian brands, and because of the exchange rate from reals to dollars, the Brazilian brands went from being affordable to $180, $200 in that time period. And then all the American brands that were coming out were kind of going towards the MMA tough guy route. And I remember talking to my friends about it and be dude, I don't like their stuff, or whatever brand is I don't like that they're going the affliction route.
Mm-hmm.
So I was I'll just make stuff I would wear, or I think I connected enough to the community to know what people want.
Mm-hmm. So it's just your own market research of your own students in the landscape of the community saying, wait a second, what they're putting out there isn't representative or what I think the market wants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Another thing is because the way we did the logo is it's an animal logo, and there's been jiu-jitsu animal logos for a long time, but they were always rooted out, muscles busting out of the gi thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when we came with this panda, the berimbolo was I think beginning the height of its popularity. So everybody was aware of going upside down, connected going upside down with jiu-jitsu. So when they saw the panda upside down, immediately made the connection, ooh, jiu-jitsu panda. And everybody loves pandas.
Mm-hmm. And you also wrote in your blog post about some of your missteps as far as tariffs go, or underestimating certain fees, having certain paperwork done. And usually when you talk to certain entrepreneurs, they like to give you the highlight reel. My second cousin, she's actually was rated by Forbes magazine as one of the top 10 most powerful women in Silicon Valley. And she wrote an article for them, and it was actually her 10 biggest mistakes in business. And she talked about all her failures in business. And that was kind of humbling, because a lot of times you see these very successful people, they just tell you about all their wins. What would you say they say in jiu-jitsu, there's no losing, there's only winning and learning. What were some of your 3 biggest learning experiences during the launch of Inverted Gear that helped you grow as a business and as a person and businessman?
Okay. Let's see. Deadlines. like when you deal with international shipping, you never know what's gonna happen. You never know. Like because like at the beginning, like we just started and we were like kind of forced to take pre-orders because people kept emailing us like, "Hey, I want one of the new geese." We're like, "Well, like there's a second batch coming. It'll be available this day." They're like, "Can I pre-order? Can I please pre-order because I want to make sure I get one?" Because like like there was like no, it was like at the very beginning and like a lot of the like at that time people were very comfortable with pre-orders because like a lot of big companies were doing it. So people would actually ask and like insist on taking pre-orders. So we're like, okay, we'll do pre-orders. And like, the factory will give you a date and then like, you calculate how long the shipping is gonna take. We're doing the shipping by plane, by like we're like air shipping them at the time. So like be a shorter, it would take a week instead of like, 4 weeks by sea. And like that was a mistake because like, it was huge chunk of our profits were being lost on the shipping. And so we had to calculate the pre-order windows. Like, okay, like the order goes in now. I'm gonna send the factory the deposit, and they're gonna start working on them. They say 8 weeks, and then another week for shipping, another week for clearing customs, another week for cushioning, and then like we should have be able to ship the geese by this date, right? We did that, and like we're 2 weeks away, and like geese haven't been finished at the factory. Factory had delays. Okay, factory had delays. They're finally gonna ship. Okay, they missed the plane in Kuwait for whatever reason. The shipment was left off the plane in Kuwait, and then like they were just sitting in the airport in Kuwait for 4 days, and I'm like, like I was like, my hands in my pockets, like there's nothing I can do. So we missed like the first time like the first two pre-orders we did, like we missed the date. So like we emailed everybody, just let everyone know. It's like, hey, we had complications. It's not gonna be here on time. I'm not sure when it's gonna be here. It could be like anywhere between like a week and 3 weeks. We're sorry. Like if you want to cancel your order, we'll refund you. If you want to stay, like if you want to keep it, we'll send you a free shirt. So design some free shirts. We had to do it twice. Printed the shirts, add them to every order, and that was like when you have like 100 geese pre-sold, and then like this happens, and then like we had to like make 100 shirts, and then we had to contact 100 people asking about their sizes, and then make sure like the right shirt went with the right gi into the bag. That was a giant pain, but like people appreciated that like we like the customer service and like like we have like 50% of our business is returning customers. So like we're doing something right, and like we've been doing it for a while. That's why we're successful now.
No, that's amazing. And a lot of people forget about the customer service. A few months ago, Storm Kimonos, we're probably just a month ago, Storm Kimonos had this huge sale on one of their sub brands. I think it's called Brazilian Fight Gear, where they were selling geese for $40, and people were ordering them. And then on certain jiu-jitsu forums, they're saying that, hey, I ordered it, they never got back to me. And just that lapse in customer service helps, even if the product is good, it could help break that trust and relationship with the customers and prevent them from purchasing again if they have that poor experience.
Mhm.
You're a young guy at that point, still 24, 25 years old. What gave you the foresight to have that customer service? Did you read any books on it? Did you know that
Actually, one book comes to mind. Gary Vaynerchuk wrote this book called The Thank You Economy.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that thing's on the shelf like that. Yeah, there it is. Uh, an awesome book. If you run your own business, I highly recommend you read it. And yeah, like you just taking like a lot like especially the gi business, like the gi market. Most of the gi companies are we're working like this out of the same 4 or 5 factories in Pakistan. A few of them are in China now. But if you look just at the geese, like quality of the material, whatever, like most brands, especially the better ones, we're working with like same quality. Like same quality. A lot of the brands have the same cut or cuts a little bit different. Like we have half sizes. Other companies don't have half sizes. But like if you use like if you're a regular A2 across all brands, which a lot of guys are, right? When it comes down to it, is like are these guys gonna take care of me? And like like if I deal with them, do I feel taken care of? And like if I have a bad experience with a company, I'm not gonna come back and buy another gi. But like we have guys that send us pictures, and like now I have closets just full of panda geese, which is awesome. Like I never thought, like I never imagined that, like I'd be here now. I'm still wake up in the morning, log on the website and like see, we sold 10 geese overnight. Like that's just crazy to me still.
So, so part of your brand that you built from the get go, it's the panda, is
Yes.
part of it. So that represents gentle, fun, cuddly, but also your customer service. What would you say are the other core attributes of your marketing and branding that differentiate you from the competition?
Um,
Because the geek market is it's very crowded right now, and it's hard to really differentiate at times.
yeah, I mean,
Done that.
a lot of it is we try to give you guys value. I posting technique videos from more guys. I shot a bunch of them myself. I'm very active on the Reddit,
Mhm.
RBJJJ, RBJJ, and just being part of the community. We help out a few tournaments. We have a few friends that organize tournaments. We've been sponsored Tap Cancer App for a long time. Just giving back to the community a little bit. That's why I started like a sponsor team. Is I had like all these friends that were like in kick-ass purple belts and brown belts, and they were like struggling to like make it to tournaments, and like they were struggling to buy geese for tournaments. We're like the geese will shrink and not be IBJJF legal anymore, and that stuff. So is being able to be in the position to help some of my friends out was great, and now I can help out the BJJ community a little bit.
All right, Nelson.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, just I glitched a little bit there. Along the lines of sponsoring, how do you select who gets sponsored by Invert Gear? Because I'm sure you guys get a lot of inquiries from people from all around the world.
Yeah, we get like about 5 a day.
Mhm.
So it's tough because you never know. I've been like closing my circle more and more. We got burned quite a few times. We'll send people gear, and then they will get gear from another company, and you start wearing like the other guy's gear. 2 weeks after we send them stuff, and that bumps me out. But like at the same time, like some geek companies have like these like lengthy contracts and like all this stuff for like the sponsor athletes. I'm not gonna force anyone to wear a gear. So so a lot of my stuff is kind of like handshake.
Mhm.
So as long as mutually beneficial, it works out. We Most of the people I sponsor now I've met personally. I think 100%. I've trained with them. I met them at tournaments. I've seen them do well, and eventually I visited their school and roll with them. Um, I would say it's not as much as I know. I also we've had like a few requests, and guys are great. Are very good blue belts and purple belts and world class level, but they were not a good fit for the brand. They were like very brash, or the stuff they were posting in social media was like a little offensive. We're like no, you're not a good fit. Like I'm sorry, I like you, like you know I met you, you're a cool dude, but you're not a good fit for inverted gear. So competition results are not everything. We sponsor quite a few people that are not world class level, but they're part of the jiu-jitsu community. They're good people. They create good content. They might be bloggers, or they create video content for the community, stuff like that. Makes a difference. Um, that's about it. I mean, it's tough because it's like a case by case basis.
Mhm.
But at this point, we're keeping the circle small. So most of the people we sponsor I met personally, and one of the things we're actively working on this year is sponsoring more girls. So we had how many? Like 4 or 5, and we're trying to bring that up to 10. So we contacted a few people, and we're gonna have, I think we're up to 8 now as of this morning. And so we'll probably get 2 more girls sponsored by the end of the year for next year.
And you mentioned this before, you were kind of burned by a few guys. Do you, even though it's a handshake deal, even though it's people you personally rolled with, do you want exclusivity where when they take social media photos or when they compete, they're only wearing inverted gear, where rash guards and kimonos, where is there flexibility in that?
No, there's flexibility in that. Like like I said, it's different, person to person. But most of the guys that do sponsor is like, hey, I don't ask for much. You just wear my gi when you compete. Send me a few pictures a month, like maybe a video of your tournament, and we'll post it on social media. Give you guys exposure. It helps you guys out when you want to book seminars and stuff. But yeah, I'm fine if they want to put other patches of other brands. There's like a bunch of no-gi brands now. They'll make gi, so they want to put some patches on. As long as they're wearing or gi is fine. Wearing other gis, that's when it gets iffy. I'm not these. I'd rather give put our effort and help out somebody one he's gonna appreciate the help instead of somebody has all these companies helping them out already.
And some big companies, especially companies that sponsor NASCAR, the NBA, NFL, they have hardcore analytics to measure their ROI. For
Yeah.
you, do you have different metrics for measuring the return on investment
We
for sponsorship?
we we just started doing that a little bit. Now they'll have custom links when they come into the website. A few of them have their own discount codes we keep track of. But it's not about that one for the sponsor team right now. I don't really it's more to give back a little bit than the return on investment and whatever we do with them. So I had we barely keep track of it as long as we're these guys are competing and we're getting good feedback on them and they're being a good part of the community and whatever they're doing because a lot of them are not competing anymore but we still sponsor them but because they have their own academies they're traveling around do seminars or create good content for the website helps out.
And around a year ago, or 2 years ago, an emerging jiu-jitsu apparel an MMA company, they used a strategy in Southern California where they just went to grassroots and went knocking on doors of major academies and started giving out free gear to the head instructors and not a sponsorship deal. But do you find better success with sponsoring and any measurable ROI from sponsoring? We're partnering with head instructors or gym owners of big gyms than with athletes.
This is the thing. It's there's so many ways companies do this. A lot of companies say you're a sponsor and all they're doing is giving you a discount code.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't work with academies that much. The only academies I work with is sorry, my dog's being extra needy and pawing me as I pet him. The only companies the only gyms we work with is my friends' gyms. They're hey, can I get a wholesale account? Because for a long time we didn't have any wholesale accounts because we had small shipments 100, 200, 300 gis at the beginning, and they were selling out a week after they landed. I think until 3 months ago we were kind of in that cycle where everything sold out pretty fast. So even if I wanted to, I wasn't able to fulfill wholesale orders for people, and then they would get upset at me. So I was you know what, no more. A few people Jared, my BJJ United, he buys gis from me when he needs gis. My friend Chris Olbrich buys gis from me when he needs them. My instructor in New Jersey, and 2, 3 more academies. And that's it. The wholesale side is not is not what we do.
Mm-hmm. And we're winding down. I want to make sure that we stay within the timelines that we agreed to, because I really appreciate you coming on. But just wanted to end with a few questions on just the product design, because many people that start jiu-jitsu, and a common question I get is, which gi should I buy? What's the differentiation between the quality of gis and type of gis available on a marketplace, and what makes inverted different? Because I've had some gis where the collar starts wearing down within 6 months. The dye doesn't stick. and it become my navy gi also becomes purple. What are some key things that make inverted gears product better than its competitors or other gis out there in the marketplace?
Well, I would say like we have the factory we use. They make their own weave, so we have a lot of control over the process the cotton goes through in order to become the weave. So it's a lot. Um, so like that's a big part. We have complete control over that. So like our color is pretty good. It's starting to have feedback again.
Oh, all right. Is it all right now?
Let me see. Yeah, that's good. Uh,
All right.
sorry. So
No worries.
like we have one release. It's almost 2 years ago. The Panda CS, which was like the purple on the gi like bled a little bit, and we had like we made 400 gis, 40 gis bled, and then, like that was the only issue we ever had with like color bleeding. So like everyone got replacements, like a different gi because like we I didn't want to play like Russian roulette with those gis, and like that's the only issue we ever had with color bleeding. So like our weaves are pretty good. The color stays on really well. The gi has extra reinforcements that most companies don't do. We have a giant gi bag where you don't need to be an origami master in order to put the gi back in the bag, which was like most gi bags like a lot of companies have changed since the beginning, like since when we started 3 years ago. 3 years ago, most gi bags like you didn't know how they got the gi there in the first place. So after you got done training, like folding that thing and fitting it back in the bag wasn't gonna happen. Um, the reinforcements, like the collar is a tank. It's not the thickest collar, but like it's the ripstop material. So I have geese from the first batch still, like from 3 years ago, and the collar is still fine. Like barely very little fraying. We've had like one guy email us about like the collar fraying in like 3.5 years now. Like I have no idea how he even did it because like I never seen issues with the collar. Like those keys are tanks, especially the two what we call it 2.0 now, like the 550 Pearl Weave. That thing's a tank.
Mhm. And what are the big trends? Because there are always new textiles and new fashion trends. How do you stay on top of the different technological fashion and textile trends in gi development?
Use like I train every day. So whenever like you have the jiu-jitsu hipster at the gym, it always has like the newest gi. So you
Mhm.
always see what's coming out. Uh, I'm on top of it. Like I go on Reddit all the time, so I see like cool stuff's coming out. But like hemp and bamboo and like all these cotton alternatives are becoming more popular. So like we have our own little line of the bamboo weave. Like or ours is like 70% bamboo, 30% cotton. Uh, just like using the internet, stay on top of things. The factory is always emailing us when they have like new stuff coming out, a new weave or like new process they're trying out. If you want to check it out, and then like if you look at the back, like let's see, like you see that like if you look here, that's all samples.
Hmm.
So like we always try new stuff out. We actually like trying to make Kurtkas for Sambo. So we go into some stuff. It's always like new projects we're working on. We made like that really thick gi last year, the Panda armor. We still have a few pieces left. We sold most of it. Like we all a lot of the old school guys miss the old school like double weave gis, like the really heavy gis,
Yep.
and that was something we got like people would request all the time.
Perfect for weight cutting.
Ah, dude, like I have like I remember like training at judo gym, like everybody wears like the super thick judo gis. I have nightmares. I remember like like getting like collar grips to like choke somebody like a clock choke or something. And, like my like the gi being so thick like I couldn't grab it. So I'm glad like the trend went the other way towards lighter gis. I think what's it called? The Vulcans, like ultralights. Those were like super popular around like 2006, 2007, 2008 when I started. So like everyone got used to like these super light gis. So it's a good thing for like my I have my hands are bad enough as it is. I don't need to be battling this like super thick geese all the time.
And part of your success is in Invert Gears now that you have distribution with many different martial arts retailers, online, brick and mortar. How do you guys break into that outside of your own website in terms of distribution?
I kind of like took like a backdoor to that, I guess. One of my friends, like all training partners, like my friend Dave, he when he went to college, he was like living in North Jersey, so he started training in North Jersey, and I would go there like cross train all the time. Like on Saturdays, I would just drive up and train with those guys. And one of those guys I used to train with works at BJJHQ. His name is George.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started the gi company, like I just like had some gis left over from like I forget what batch it was, like second or third batch at this time. I was like, hey George, blah blah blah. Like I know you work at BGHQ. Like would you guys be interested in like having a sale on these guys? And we had like the first sale, everything went. Then like a second one, and then by the third one they started like ordering stuff like 3 months in advance, and that's how we get started working with BGHQ. And then like they have like all their partner websites like Roll More and Martial Arts Supplies, and now Roll More UK carries our stuff too. That's like our European retailer. We have a Korean retailer, etc. Seoul, and they just emailed us. Like it's a weird thing. Like we're really popular in Korea. Something like 80% of the website traffic is from the United States, and then after that is like 6% is from South Korea.
Well, South Korea is a combat sport country. They're big on Taekwondo, Judo, MMA is growing with the Korean Zombie and also Stun Gun Kim and other. You're seeing a lot of guys emerge in the mixed martial arts community from there. And Jiu-Jitsu, just since because I train with some South Koreans, it's very popular. I actually live in Koreatown, Los Angeles.
Okay,
And it is definitely a fighting culture over there in South Korea. And on top of that, who doesn't love pandas, especially Asians? So
that's what I'm saying.
not a bad problem to have, Nelson.
No. So yeah, little by little, you just like a lot, like a lot of it was like is other people reaching out to us. We like became popular enough where like people started emailing like whatever their favorite website they would use to like doing business with to carry our stuff.
Mhm. Now, Nelson, we're wrapping up the podcast right now just because I want to get you out. I told you we do a hard wrap at 12:45 p.m. It's actually 12:46 p.m. Again, I just want to thank you for sharing your story and your business insight. I think a lot of people out there with dreams of and try to figure out how they could leverage their love of BJJ into a potential business opportunity. Can really learn a lot from you. Hopefully, we answer some of the questions that you received from people on Facebook or through email. And just a few key takeaways is follow your dreams, follow your passions, have great customer service, build relationships, and also not just follow the market trends and just really follow your heart and what you believe is right in the business. Is that fair to say?
I would think so. Like definitely we all have like our own unique vision of what like what we want to do and where a lot like I see like I've had friends like ask me about like how to start your geek company like for like 4 years now ever since I started my own, and out of like I have had conversations with people like like this kind of conversation like how it started, like how it all went. We're like 10 friends. Out of the 10, like one followed through with it and has his own brand, but everybody else kind of like get a lot of people I've seen get stuck in the planning stage. And like yeah, there's a lot of geek companies out there, but there's also like it's a big market and it's getting bigger every day. Like MMA is becoming more and more popular, and jiu-jitsu is like the most accessible part of MMA. Like not all of us have a job where like you just have a black eye. So jiu-jitsu is getting bigger and bigger, and you just need like a little slice of the pie. You're not gonna become a millionaire, but you can make a nice living out of it.
Mhm. Well, again, thank you very much for your time, Nelson. Great story, and we wish you continued success with the growth of the inverted gear. Great product. How could someone get to your website?
Invertedgear.com.
Mhm. And is there
And
anything else you'd like
I'm
to plug?
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to plug as well?
Uh,
Any
let's
sales or?
Well, we're gonna have a
Cyber
big like Black Friday is coming up, so we're gonna have a big sale that entire week. We're not gonna wait until Friday this year. We're just gonna start on Monday. Like,
Awesome. So,
go ahead.
oh, sorry to interrupt, Nelson. So basically, the week of November 23rd, it's
Yes.
going to be a full-on Christmas season, holiday season. Shopping starts
Yep.
then on invertedgear.com.
Yep.
Pick up your jiu-jitsu gear for yourself or the ones you love in your life and have a go at it. It's we really do appreciate the time, Nelson, and very inspiring story, and wish you again continued success. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And